Jumbo Mambo familia. Angu, buddy, how are all of you doing? You know, I feel kind of like a little bit liberated by my decision that I shouldn't be too concerned about what's going to happen with the size of my channel. Like, my attitude is I'm focusing on enjoying the peace of mind, the peace of soul that comes with the last few days of Ramadan. And I will confess that today I felt very, very weak during the day. And, I'm a diabetic and I have to be careful about my blood sugar, because it's like there's a very real possibility that if I don't walk a tightrope correctly, if I don't walk a tightrope correctly with my fasting, I could die. So I have to be very, very careful. But anyway, onward to my most entertaining topic. The streets of the kingdom of Niabo Hanzet, ruled by the king I Am Mara. And I Am Mara, recently revealed something that, it's like, on the one hand, I have a lot of compassion for, but on the other hand, I view it as something else. The King of Neabohanset, who has traveled to how many hundreds of countries, thousands possibly, of millions, other zillions of country, who has seen everybody of any importance around the world. Somebody said something. I believe it was, who was it? Was it I Am Carol? Someone was talking about him going around without glasses on. And somebody made an incredibly novel suggestion. Why doesn't he go, when he's traveling, see a doctor and have a doctor determine what can be done with his eye? Maybe it can be restored, maybe not, but all this rubbish of running around with wearing these sunglasses that make him look like a blithering idiot, that's not an answer to the problem. Speaking as somebody who suffered from cataract, this is what I suspect about Maura, okay? We are at a point in history in which eye damage can be handled surgically and they can do wonders. Why hasn't the great king of Neabohanset, the traveling commando, ever taken it upon himself while overseas to visit a doctor and see what, if anything, can be done to better his eyes? A beggar that doesn't have a reason to beg, a perfectly healthy man, what will society tell a perfectly healthy man who wants to beg? Society will tell him, sir, why don't you go to work? Personally, I'm not going to judge whether anything is wrong with Maura's eye or not. The question is, why hasn't he sought out help? Is it that Maura likes being handicapped? Is it that Maura likes beating himself? As I look at Maura, as I look at how he's doing that woman that he picked up I don't know where, singing on a street corner or something, possibly selling selling momentary pleasure. I don't know. I'm just saying. If anything is possible. How did Mara meet this woman? Nobody knows. Nobody knows exactly how this woman pays for the bed on which she lays her head. Nobody knows how this woman procures food to put in her mouth, or how she did it before Mara. I'm a cynical person. Women who wear very little clothing in a conservative society like Latin American society usually also sell something, in order to buy their breads. And I'm not saying that Rocio Cabrera is one of the women who sells something, but the question that I ask is, how is she supporting herself before she met Mara? We're also used to thinking of Mara as a major parasite. What do you call a beggar who survives by living off the begging of another beggar? A double beggar? Double E beggar? I don't know. I am looking at the growing disasters that are going on at the ranch, and I thought of something funny, and that is that at this point, nobody gives a good darn what happens at the Villa Medellin. So Mara is roaming about, trying to find things to interest his audience. First, he visited the Masai Mara and created a little kerfuffle by not wearing his glasses and letting us see his damaged eye. And I think that the glasses have done Mara. Wearing glasses has been a good idea. Mara, don't take off the sunglasses. He looks, it's like, if you want to know what's in a man's soul, they say that the eyes are the windows of the soul. When I looked in Mara's eyes, even the damaged one, what I saw is a desperate and frightened man. He's quickly running out of idea, and my suspicion is that Mara himself has no money to travel with. It isn't only Rocio Cabrera who's broke. So he's casting about for things to do. So he went and visited the construction site of Diana Kemi, who I really like. Diana Kemi, I'm not even going to classify her. I'll just say this. It's kind of heartwarming to see her building her house. Okay, and yes, it inspired a certain amount of compassion when she went through a period of illness, but I saw the presence of Mara at her construction site as an act of desperation. He's quickly running out of subjects to make videos about, so he goes to her home, and he's desperately searching for salvation by making a video about Diana Kemi, and hopefully trying to snag a couple of the gullible Mazungus that are sending Diana Kemi money, But even so, at that point, Mara still remains an arrogant man. He said something to the effect that Diana Kemi came from nothing. Like if he's a great lord of Niabohanzet who walks with his head held high in the clouds, his feet trotting the very bottom of the rivers, like if they're nothing but puddles. Please remember something. Just a few years ago, they were living in the city of Niabohanzet, pooping in a hole in the ground, in a pit latrine, drinking water out of a well. And come to think of it, they're not living any better now. That entire village is not a wealthy village or whatever. The point that I'm making is, Who is Mara to be talking down about how Diana Kennedy came from nothing? What did he come from? Is he actually a king, or is he the son of a poor teacher who recently got thrown out of her house when her youngest son discussed the fact that there was a man who was supporting her with money to put her children through school? Mara thinks that he's the big pile of poop, saying that Diana Kemi came from nothing. Never mind the fact that he's doing the same thing that she's doing. I don't know that he is doing the same thing that she's doing. There's a difference in between a beggar or a person who lives on charity and does so with humility, compared to one who does it and wants you to think of him as a king as he begs. Diana Kemi is a humble person. Diana Kemi is her and baby Carol, there's a lot to be proud of in what they're doing. Why was Mara there, and why was he putting her down, claiming what is it that she came from nothing? What did he come from? Where did he come from? What did he come out of? Mara doesn't even know who his own father is. At least Diana Kemi knows her own mother and father. And then there's an issue about how Roracist and Mara act like if they're the Pope. Anybody who's coming, or some great important person, anybody who comes to see them has to make an appointment and all of this rubbish. At the end of the day, he appeared at the house of Diana Kemi like a penniless beggar, and Joe shut up there hoping to steal some of her thunder. And Diana Kemi was humble enough to welcome him, smiling, happy. Oh, the great man has come to her house. There's a passage, I'm not a Christian, but there's a passage of the New Testament in which a man refers to Christ as good master. And Christ responds, "Why callest thou me good? Knowest thou not that none is good save the Father in heaven?" I think that there's a story that goes like this. There was an emperor who was swindled. Some men came to town and pretended that they could create the greatest clothes, and that their clothing was so incredibly exquisite that only the most discerning eyes, the most discerning people could look and see what clothing he was wearing. And they pretended that they were knitting something when in fact they were knitting nothing. And they gave the emperor these clothes, and the emperor would put them on, and he would be walking around naked, but nobody wanted to admit that they did not have discerning eyes. So everybody would go, "Oh, the emperor looks so good, so beautiful." Mara is that emperor. Everybody's acting like if he's such a big deal. There's several other channels on YouTube that have not just 1.5 million like Woda Maya, but several million people, and the hosts on those channels act with the utmost humility. One day, some child, they say, oh, this is the way that story about the emperor who thought that he was so fancy and so discerning that he was going around naked, and everybody was afraid of telling him, "Emperor, you're naked, you have no clothes on," because that would reveal that he had no clothes on, and that he was being made a fool of. Finally, the king one day was marching down a road, a royal procession, and a child pointed at the king and said very loudly, "Look, mother, the emperor has no clothes." And suddenly the pretense collapsed and everybody began to laugh. He has no clothes. And the emperor covered himself and ran back to the palace. I think that Mara is at a point in which somebody's going to point out, maybe some people are already pointing out, the reactors are going to point out King Mara has no clothes. King Mara is a shameless beggar, and visiting Diana Kemi was an act of desperation. Folks, if you haven't liked and subscribed to my channel, please do so. And while I'm at it, kudos to Uncle Mo, who in his own very humble way is making his villa more and more beautiful. Kudos to Fellow the Boy, who is making his home more and more beautiful, and the garden I think is great. The chickens are great. When the house is finished, it's gonna look very nice. The only the people in the village of Navajo that are making positive progress are the humble, the humble YouTubers who are building homes and everything. And yeah, they're building it in part by begging, but that's what they learned from Mara. The point remains that they're building humble homes that are not leaking water, that are not rat infested. They are not so desperate that they're feeding people rat meat and because they have no more goats or cattle to feed them. So I think as time passes, more and more the people of Navajo are coming to understand that Mara is basically a fraud, and that the real stars of Navajo are the ordinary YouTubers. Again, folks, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. Asante Asana, if you have watched this video this long, I'm getting to a point at which Ramadan is being a blessing for me, but it's also, it's reminding me that my health is not necessarily the greatest. So I ask all of you to keep Babu Eli in prayer. Babu Eli needs prayer. Babu Eli needs friendship. And may God bless each and every one of you. May you have a wonderful morning, evening, night, whatever time it is that this video should catch you. And please, folks, continue to support me. Please like, please subscribe, please comment. And Allahu Akbar, and Salam Alaikum to all of you. Kwaheri.